I was doing really well at school and like passing all my subjects and that sort of thing, but I just didn't really excite me that much, and I didn't love going to school.
Sure.
So yeah, and I really wanted to go racing. Like I was kind of like I think I just made it onto like the national team, like the Aussie team for to go and race some junior World Cups.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wanted to go and like just earn a bit of money and that sort of thing. So yeah, there was a little job came up, trail building, which was 5 minutes down the road from my house. So that's where I started out, and then pretty much did that. I did that. I think I had 1 year off where I went and did something else, or like 6 months even off. But apart from that, I did it from 16, 17 all the way through until uh like 2021, I think. So yeah, I think it was like 6 or 7 years all up,
Yeah.
and then I was out at Maydena for 3 years. So that was such a cool project to be a part of. And I remember when we first started like hearing whispers of it through the company, because I was working all over Australia before, so I'd travel up and then I'd spend 3 or 4 months in a town and we'd build a few trails and then travel to the next town and do that. So then when like a bike park project came up and it was in Tassie as well, like everyone was so excited about it. And we kind of it wasn't really until we got out there on the first day that we realized like the scale of the place.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, when we rocked up, it was like this old school building at the bottom
Yeah.
that the school had shut down a few years before because there's just not enough kids out there to keep the school open essentially.
Mhm.
So like my mom teaches out there now down the road, and she teaches like a grade 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think she's got like 25 kids in a class across like all those grades. So
Oh, right.
it's pretty quiet little communities out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we rocked up on the first day, and it's like this old school building, and still got all the like four square lines on the ground and like a big
Yeah.
playground. There's still like chalkboards and stuff in all the classrooms. So it's
Yeah.
literally just like this, yeah, school at the bottom, and then the mountain above it is 800 meters higher than the school.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember we kind of like had a big meeting on the first day and went for a walk around in the forest. And the forest there is insane, like proper rainforest and super, super cool terrain, like really steep and lumpy, and the dirt's amazing.
Yeah.
But I think we had 4 months to get the bike park operational.
Wow.
So from the first day started digging to like our opening day was 4 months. So
Did
it
you
was
have
like,
like a budget for that? Was there like a monetary figure that you had to kind of
yeah,
build the bike park under?
yeah. So I don't know the full details, but I know that I think it was co-funded to start with. So the owner of the park put in a bunch of money, and then that was sort of matched by the government. So they like sort of, yeah. But that's why we had to build it so fast, because this like government scheme was essentially like we had to have it like operational while that scheme was running. I'm fairly sure was how it worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think at one point we had like 16 or 17 like trail crew out there. So you had at one time you had four different teams running on the hill. So it was usually like there were three teams in machines and then like one hand build crew.
Right.
So
Okay.
that was some of the best riding I've ever done in my life,
Was it what just
because
building something and testing it and
yeah, and because there was so much trail building going on, like four different people building trails at once. Like literally, you get to the weekend every weekend, and there'll be a brand new trail for you to ride.
no way.
So it was just like this, like, and the dirt, like when a trail is brand new there, it's like it doesn't get better. So it's just like yeah, every week you just have like a brand new trail to ride out there, and like you'd just be with a whole bunch of like young guys out there working and just like frothing on riding. So everyone
Brilliant.
was super excited to do shuttles after work, and yeah, it
Yeah.
was really really cool experience.
Oh, that's awesome, Dan. That's brilliant. And I guess, that probably helped you riding as well, didn't it? Doing, riding with them guys and pushing each other. And having some amazing terrain to ride and train on.
For sure. Yeah, I'd stopped racing at that point too. I hadn't raced for a few years.
Uh-huh.
So I was just riding and wasn't like trying to like get faster or like get better at riding. I was just like riding because I loved it.
Okay.
And then because that was kind of like the first time in my life that I was like not focusing on something with riding, like the whole time growing up I was always trying to like become a faster rider or become a better rider, but when I was just riding because I loved it, I ended up actually getting better at riding, which was funny. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely owe like a lot of like where I've kind of ended up with my biking now to the Maydena for sure. Like without it, I don't think like I really would have had the facilities in Tassie to train and to like to just yeah experience riding trails like that.
Yeah, for sure. And so, as I mentioned earlier, you've got the skills to do all kinds of different riding from all the background that you've had, with your downhill racing, skate parks, dirt jumping, all the stuff at Maydena. I mean, remember when we went to Whistler and you done that jump to manual around the corner and off the bridge on Dirt Merchant. I think that
Yeah,
went fucking viral. Everyone was
yeah.
posting that. I mean, there's guys that are now basically sponsored to do that stuff. As far as I've seen, and I probably don't see, everything that goes out there, but I think you're so under the radar for how good you are at doing all that stuff. There's many other guys that are posting stuff all the time that I just think flipping Dan can do that, no problem. Um, is that something that any of the sponsors have asked you to do a bit more of as well as your racing? Or I know you've not always been, and Sam's the same. I would never probably have been the best at it, but you mentioned Brendan and other guys
Mm.
like that. They're so good at filming and promoting themselves, doing stuff that you can do, and it enables them to get a much better support and income for being able to ride your bike for your job. Is that something that you think you need to maybe do a bit more of?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've yeah, never really like loved the whole social media thing. So like for a while I didn't have it at all and that felt great. Like
Oh,
it's definitely you can waste so much time on it
yeah.
and it's designed to be addictive. So
Oh
it's
man.
like it's pretty hard to like stay away from it. But yeah, I definitely it's something that I know sponsors are like it's super valuable and especially just like the metrics I suppose like there's with a whole lot of other things with professional bike riding like you can't see how many people are seeing what you're doing whereas like with social media with like all the views and all of that sort of stuff you can go to a company with that like number of people which is I
Mhm.
think that's why companies are so interested in it and
Yeah.
just like the kind of people can see you do something at a race or see you do something out riding, but like the amount of people you can reach through social media is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I definitely don't use it as much as like a whole bunch of other people kind of in my position, I suppose. And I think like part of that is, and I think when I do use it, like I try and put a lot of effort into what I'm doing
Mhm.
and like share stuff. Like it doesn't. I don't know why, but it's like if it's easy to land something for me, like I don't really want to go out and film it and post it. It's only like if I like have worked really hard towards landing something or am really excited by something that I'll share it. And I think because of that, I find that people have been like pretty excited about what I do post. And
Yeah.
I think it's like every time I do post, it's like it's something that's hard to do, I suppose, or it's taken me like a long time to land it. Like there's some videos where I've like tried to do something like over 150 times to
You've
try
done
and
it.
land it. Yeah, and that's something where it's like when I go back and look at that video, I remember how long it took me or like how much effort I put in to try and like work it all out and like work out how it was all going to work. So I'm like really proud of it when I like go back and watch it. Whereas like I feel like if I was like going out every day and filming myself like riding a corner or like something like that, I just
Yeah,
wouldn't get as
that's
excited
better.
by it. But I think I would rather get into doing a bit more, like putting a bit more effort into the media I put out
Hmm.
and like filming like less kind of like iPhoney videos and putting a bit more effort in and like having proper filmers and doing like longer video parts and that sort. I'd love to do that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, I think that
hopefully,
what should happen for you. You've definitely got enough talent for those guys to be doing that with you. So yeah, I think that's a great idea.
yeah. So hopefully this off season I'll get just been chatting to a few sponsors at the moment and hopefully, yeah, might be able to go and build a bit of a line and go and film something. So yeah, hopefully that all works out and comes together because that's something that I'm really, really keen to do.
Oh, cool. Look forward to seeing that then. And so, what's the next race for you now? Are you having a bit of bit of downtime, and then will Maydena Hardline be the first event, or will you have some stuff before that you're gonna do?
Yeah. So Hardline will be the first event for me. So I actually, yeah, just started training again this week, which, yeah, it seems like it's a long way away now, but I think it's going to be good to just like build up a really good base. And especially after getting a few injuries last year, I think like getting my body like really sorted of just being like, yeah, trying to become like the best athlete I can be, as well as like a bike rider. So yeah, spending heaps of time in the gym and heaps of time stretching and like going to the spa and the sauna and that sort of stuff and getting like really trying to get my body in like a good space to build off for next year. So,
Great.
and all of that stuff, just like when you do hit the ground, it's just like you're so much less likely to get injured if you are a bit stronger or like a bit more mobile or that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
that's like the big plan at the moment is yeah, just work on myself there and then yeah, just get ready for hardline, start spending a bit more time on my downhill bike, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Cool. And how do you train for something like hardline? Obviously, you've got the skills to do the big jumps and stuff, but do you just do laps in the park and try and get your speed up and hit the jumps that are there? What's the kind of plan
Yeah,
there for hardline?
I'm not too sure yet. Like it's such a hard event to train for. I think like one of the biggest things you can do is just get strong enough to take the hits. Because it seems like bikes are so good now that it pretty much gets to like a point where like the stronger you are, the faster you can ride them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be heaps of time in the gym and then just getting really good bike time because like I don't usually spend much time on a downhill bike. Like last year, I was going from like I'd race my downhill bike, and then the next time I'd ride it would be at the next race that I was at. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think just trying to spend a bit more time on my downhill bike and just punch some laps and get a few time runs going and get comfy, trying to ride it fast, and yeah, maybe just go find some steep fire roads and go real fast and get your brain used to
But,
going fast again,
no,
or like a bit of time on a moto is probably going to help as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
probably going to be start doing a bit more moto riding this off season.
cool. And for hardline, and one other thing I've not, mentioned is which is, in your skill set is, obviously they've just had Rampage. What do you think about that event? Is that something that you would consider doing?
I'm not sure. It's so hard to say until you go out there and like you can watch it on TV and be like, oh, it's like something like it looks crazy on TV. So I think like imagine being there in person would be like a whole different level again. But I really like the idea of the event. Like it's a really cool event, but I'm not sure. It's not something that I'm like trying to work towards. I suppose just the risk of it all, like, and you see like with people like Brendan doing runs where I feel like maybe that's the sort of run I could, if I was to get an invite, is like something I could do out there, which is like more sort of technical.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not like spinning any 100-foot jumps or like that sort of thing. So I think like a more technical run, and then I think like event wise, it doesn't seem to score that well. So I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, it's not something I'm like
Bother
aiming
too
towards.
bothered about. Yeah.
No.
And obviously it's it's Hardline and Rampage. They're both hugely viewed events and they're both super exciting in their own way. And there's people that have especially gone to Hardline in Wales that have done Rampage before and they've struggled. And I'm sure vice versa. I can imagine, obviously, Joe Smith. Well, Joe's really good at hardline in Wales. I can't imagine Joe going and enjoying and doing Rampage. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe Joe
Yeah.
will bring me up tomorrow and say, "You talking?"
Yeah.
You know, but it's a similar thing, but it's different, isn't it? It's they're both super gnarly and they're both super dangerous, and you're hitting huge jumps at huge speeds, and the risk factor's huge, but they are slightly different.
That's something with hardline where it's kind of like it's hard to tell what direction it's going to go in at the moment because each year it seems like each year the event runs, the features get like bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's like it's at some point it's like it just depends if it's going to be go more towards like the riders or more towards the viewers, I suppose, because it's like at the end of the day it's like if you've got a 90-foot jump, it's a huge jump, and it's like it looks super impressive on the camera. It's like if you make that same jump 110 foot, does it look that much more impressive to the viewers or someone that doesn't know mountain biking, or even people that do know mountain biking? It's like, but then the risk to the rider goes up so much. Like
Yeah,
every yeah 5 foot longer you make that jump,
yeah,
the risk goes through the roof, I suppose. So it's
yeah.
like at some point, is it kind of like, do you just keep it as like these big jumps, or is it going to go in a direction where it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger?
Sort of with hardline, you've got the big features, haven't you? And there's a lot of big features, but then you've got a downhill track in between the features that
Yeah,
and especially one in Wales, especially when it's wet. That terrain there's super slippy and sketchy when it's wet. And you see most of the mistakes and crashes, and same with you and Jackson
yeah,
and Maydena, they sort of happen between the features, don't they? Where you're having to
sure.
pause for that race run time.
Yeah, and then the other thing is like bike setup wise,
Yeah,
riding some big features, you have to run like quite a stiff bike setup. So it's like your bike's not working as well as it could in those kind of like in between sections, and that's what happened to me in my run. Is I kind of like I hit a section at the top faster than I had before, and just like landed straight into a hole. But
yeah,
I just wasn't strong enough and like blew my hand straight off the handlebars.
yeah. That was
So
a
it was like,
nasty crash, like.
yeah, it happened so quickly, and it was so close. It was only like 3 seconds into the run,
Yeah,
so it was like before I even like thought I was really racing, I was on the ground and I was like just left being like, oh shit, like what's going
yeah.
on? Hit my head quite hard too, so that didn't help with the confusion.
No,
But
no.
yeah, like, watch the footage back and like you can just see my hand just like I hit 2 holes in a row and my grip just goes like this and then I blow my hand off the bars. So yeah, just running your bike that stiff is makes it a bit harder to ride in those rougher sections, I suppose.
Is the downhill bike, the perfect bike for hardline, would you say? Obviously, at Rampage, you've got quite a mixture of bikes, and you've got a lot of guys on
Yeah,
long travel, I guess, enduro frames, but with triple clamp forks on.
yeah,
And then you've got, like Seminuk and them guys with single crown forks so they can do spins and stuff. Is the
yeah.
downhill bike the right tool for hardline, would you say?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a proper downhill track in between all the features. Like, and sometimes it may not look like it in sections on camera, but like a lot of the in between stuff is like you definitely, and just like how big the compressions are, like
Yeah.
you're gonna want to be on a downhill bike.
Sure. Yeah. And do you think they'll end up being, currently, bikes have sort of got to a level and they're not sort of changing as much as they were, back in the early days. You've
Yeah.
got a similar amount of travel on the downhill bikes, things are tweaking with suspension and stuff, but do you think
Mm.
that hardlining events like that will push the industry to make any new stuff? Do you think?
It's hard to say. I think it's already at the point where the bikes are so capable
Yeah.
that I don't know. I feel like you're gonna. It feels like you're gonna reach a limit soon, and then for like the average consumer, like they're already riding bikes that are far more capable than they can ride, and
Yeah.
sometimes so much so that it's like it's sort of changing how trail building, how the trails are being built, and like how people are riding trails. And to me, it's kind of like a funny thing where all these bikes are sort of marketed to sell to people to go faster and to to be a faster rider, I suppose. But not everyone wants to do that,
No, no,
and
no.
it's so. And I think like for me, even like the last few weeks, I've just been mucking around. I've got like a little 5010, which is like a 150, 130 mil bike, and
Yeah.
that's been so fun
Yeah.
and just like really playful. And I feel like it seems like a lot of companies are going in the direction of these like more these bikes that kind of like tame the terrain a bit more. It can be more fun sometimes if it's like a bit rowdier and a
Yeah.
bit like harder to ride a bike fast
Yeah.
because then you don't need, it doesn't have to be as dangerous for you to have fun, I suppose, because now bikes are getting so good. To get
Yeah.
it to feel ragged, you have to be going really fast.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're on a short travel bike or like something with like maybe like 27.5 wheels or
Yeah.
something like that, you don't have to be going as fast and you can have like tighter trails. And
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're not racing, like maybe like a bike that's not suited to racing is better for you.
No, for sure. I mean, I look at all the cool downhill bikes and I think, oh, I'd love one of those things again. But in reality, I don't really need one of those.
Yeah,
Where I live, where you've rode quite a bit, I ride my 140 bike more than my longer travel enduro bike now. Like you say, it's nimble, it's fast, it's light, it feels fun on the trails.
yeah.
I don't need to be going flat out. I'm just going out having fun, like, and it's yeah, 100% agree.
Then same thing with like with enduro bikes. Like it's so cool that you can just like you can travel with one bike now, I suppose, and ride anything on it. Like you can
Yeah,
like on my Nomad, I can go and like ride downhill tracks on, or you can go for like big pedal day missions. Like it's just
yeah,
yeah, so good.
so good now, aren't they? And do you
Yeah,
think I've heard a few rumors, I don't know how true it is, that talk that enduro might limit the travel on the bikes that you race on. Is that something
yeah,
that you've heard, and what's your thoughts on that?
yeah. I remember reading that little document that came out that I don't know. I don't know if they'd make it a rule change at all, but I think it sounds like they maybe might. I've heard whispers that maybe the stages might get changed to suit like a shorter travel bike,
Right,
which
okay.
could make them like a bit pedalier and that sort of thing. Which, yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I wonder if they'll try and make it like push a bit more difference between enduro and downhill trail wise.
Yeah, who
But
knows?
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if limiting the travel is like the right thing to do. I think.
I mean, I don't. I think, choose what you want. Obviously you're riding for Santa Cruz at the moment. There's a ton of different bikes you can choose there. Charlie Murray did really well this year on a shorter travel bike than some of the other guys have been on. But then, I think that's the beauty of it. You can choose what you want to
Yeah,
ride, can't you?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's something that would like keep it exciting as well. Like some people choosing certain bikes for certain races and that sort of thing, which happens already. Like you see people for certain venues having like a longer travel setup or like a shorter travel setup. So I
Yeah,
think that's cool.
yeah, definitely. And so after Maydena, hopefully when you've won that, you've achieved that goal on the first race, what is the plan then? Do you go up to Europe early to get some training in Europe, or do you just go out for the first enduro race, which I believe is in Pietra next year, is it?
Yep, yep. So I'll go to Crankworks Rotorua as well, which
Okay.
that's in. So I'll head over and do that. That's always a super fun
Yeah,
event and get to do a bit of downhill racing there and a bit of slalom and some other stuff.
yeah, yeah. It's
And
good. Great. See, you did really good in the downhill there last year, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, it went well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, I'd love to go do that again. And then I'm still not too sure about next year, like what I'm going to be racing. I'm still like kind of finalizing a calendar at the moment, and I'm not sure if that's going to be me doing like a full Enduro World Series or maybe just like select rounds and try and get some good results to go and race Worlds again. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be doing a full World Series or not, but we'll
Okay.
see.
And is that something your decision, or is that sponsors and you? What would you do if you had the full backing and the full budget to do whatever you wanted?
Yeah, I think I'd do a full World Series
Okay.
if I had. And I think it is a bit of like a budget decision, I suppose, with some sponsors and but yeah, and I think it's more so because I am kind of racing a bit of a broad calendar
Yeah.
that maybe it's better to just go and do some extra events here and there and like maybe go and do some like trans races as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of like sitting down at this time of year and like working out what's going to be the best calendar for me and like for sponsors and that sort of thing, and then trying to work out budgets and yeah, it's definitely yeah, there's a bit more work in it than kind of like when you're on a race team, and you kind of seems like someone sort of sets the calendar a bit more when you're on a race team than when you're running your own program
Yeah.
like I am next year. It's going to be you get a bit more freedom to pick and choose, which is cool. But then yeah, still kind of deciding whether I want to do like a full World Series or not. And I think it might depend on like how the races do feel next year for
Oh,
enduro.
yeah. Yeah. And obviously you've got pretty good setup with Santa Cruz and SRAM and everything. But if there was an opportunity to go back on a full race program to do the full EDR season, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I don't think so at the moment. Like I really enjoyed last year, and I think like having the freedom to like choose all your sponsors and that sort of thing really means that you can get on like a setup that you're like 100%
Yeah.
stoked on,
Yeah.
which makes a big difference. And then yeah, having that freedom as well to choose what races you want to do
Yeah.
is really awesome. So I think I'm pretty happy like running my own program at the moment.
Cool.
There's
Cool.
definitely something would make it easier. Like if I was able to get the budget to have a mechanic or even like a filmer or something like that to do,
Yeah.
have like a different avenue there, that would be something that would be really beneficial. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm enjoying it. The running my own program at the moment.
Cool. Cool.
Just a bit more admin, bit more booking, bit more flight booking, and that sort of thing for me. But
You
I
love
don't
a
mind
bit of
it.
admin though, Dan, don't you? I know that was your favorite part.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so, are you contemplating doing the Welsh hardline as well?
Yeah, yeah, that's something I'd love to do. So yeah, I had a message come through last year
Yeah.
saying that I'd had an entry for it, but I'd broken my wrist 2 days earlier. So I think it was about I think it was 8 or 9 weeks later that Hardline would have been on, and I was supposed to be in a cast for 8. So I was just like, it's just not
Yeah.
gonna get there in time. And for when I first got invited, I thought, oh, maybe I can get it back, and then
Yeah.
yeah, I ended up just saying no and just like making sure that someone else got like enough notice to
Yeah.
get a spot, to get ready for it. So and then yeah, by the time I got to the 8 week mark, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be strong enough to ride hardline. So I definitely made the right decision there.
Yeah. Definitely. And obviously I've heard a few rumors with the downhill circuit, getting more elitist, just so many elite teams, and they're going to make it smaller and smaller, I guess, the amount of people that'll be able to compete at a World Cup, which I guess will give it even a bit more pressure to the riders that are there and on those big teams. Do you think that's going to then affect the riders that may be on the start line at hardline and stuff? Like, obviously Jackson got injured last year at hardline and missed the whole World Cup season. Do you think that the World Cup going more F1 or whatever you want to call it, do you think that's going to make decisions where the riders won't be able to do events like that?
I think so. I think for certain riders there will. I definitely, yeah. I think for those like sort of top five like sort of title contenders, I think that's something that would definitely be a decision. I think like the team managers and that's some discussions those guys would be having. But I think like exposure's exposure, and it's like whether it's at a World Cup or whether it's at hardline. I don't think hardline's any more dangerous than a World Cup. I
Mm.
suppose in terms of getting injured,
Yeah,
because they're big features, but usually they're built really well. So
yeah,
it's like once you're comfortable riding a jump, and you can kind of it seems like you can kind of make the hardline week as easy or as hard as you want it. Like you can go up there and you can be like one of the first guys to ride a feature, or you can let everyone else go and do that and then come through at the end and just train people in, and that's a
yeah,
pretty safe way to do it. So whereas like at a World Cup, I feel like I'm more likely to crash trying to ride like a technical section
well,
faster than a big jump potentially. So, but that
yeah,
might just be me. I'm not sure.
sure, yeah, understand. Yeah, and obviously, not everybody is as comfortable on the big jumps as you are, so it goes.
Yeah, yeah,
And then, so obviously, back going to spend a bit of time back at home in Tasmania. I'm sure your mum's pretty stoked on that.
yeah, yeah. Mum and dad's stoked.
Brilliant. Yeah, it was really enjoyed staying at your mum's place when we were there last year, and your mum's. I think your mum's our number one fan on the podcast. I'd say, would you, Maya? Yeah, she definitely
Yeah,
most comments and likes and stuff. So we really appreciate that.
yeah. She's got right into the podcast lately. She always tells me who you've had on, and who she's been listening to. So,
Oh, that's brilliant, Tell her thank you very much, and we really appreciate that. It's brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I often
Yeah,
get a little message saying that was a good one or whatever. So yeah, we're trying our best here. I'm sure she'll be pretty proud to have you on to listen to.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome, mate. If anybody wants to get in touch with you and give you some more support sponsor wise or whatever, or just be part of a filming project, or just keep up to date on what you're doing, day to day, what's the best avenues to sort of follow you on, Dan?
Uh, I'd say I'm probably like most active on my Instagram account. That's probably like the best way to keep up with what I'm up to at the moment. So yeah, that would be the one.
All right, well, hopefully, and I'm gonna looking forward to seeing what you put together for next season, and yeah, I'm excited to see you how you get on at hardline again for sure. Just make sure you bloody stay on your bike this time.
Yeah, that's it.
Is there going to be some big changes to the track that you can maybe give us a little bit of insight on, or is it all top secret?
Yeah, there's definitely. I think there some of the guys have been up there making some changes. So yeah, I think there's going to be some fresh stuff, which will be pretty cool. Keep it exciting for everyone.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Well, yeah, I'm super excited to see how you get on at that, and I'm sure you're going to do well. But
Thanks.
yeah, well, again, thanks, Dan. Thanks again for everything you did when you rode for our team. You were a brilliant rider and ambassador for the team, and appreciate that. And it was nice to spend time with you and get to know you a bit better. That was awesome, mate. And thanks very much for getting up early today and coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I loved having spending time with all you guys on the team. That was such a good experience and like something I'm never going to forget. So yeah, thanks for that, and yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for your time, Dan. We'll see
Awesome.
you soon.
See ya.
Cheers. All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed that chat with Dan Booker. One of the best bike riders I've ever had the pleasure of spending some time with. Super talented, whether it's, racing or just flipping the style on his bike, jumping. You can just see from Dan's riding, he has so much fun on the bike, which is what we all do it for. So hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, comment, buy us a coffee if you're feeling generous. And thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.